Right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today, but first, I want to talk about the channel and update you all. I have made it across the country. I moved from Phoenix to Pittsburgh, and I finally got a house. Well, quite frankly, this is not where I'm going to be doing videos. I'm in a dining room on a dining table. Well, because my desk exploded in the 26-foot Penske truck I drove all the way across the country. It didn't make it. So it wasn't the greatest desk in the world, so sort of a blessing in disguise. So eventually I'll be moving up to my office, and so the sound quality, not so good in the dining room, especially considering I think my refrigerator is sort of sick. Its compressor is really loud, and at least I got this free wine tasting little thing up there because I do like wine, I suppose. But so first of all, I want to say sorry for the little lull in videos there, but kind of hard to do it while you're struggling to get across the country and find a place as soon as possible. Now, I also want to say that I will be live streaming again here pretty soon, and it's likely going to be in the mornings, and I haven't quite decided. I think I might actually just stream on DLive and Twitch, and sort of stray away from YouTube, as I like to just keep that crypto. But we'll have to see. I've said that before, but I would like to avoid it because it does kind of create some confusion for some people. They get a notification on their phone that I'm live, and then they click on it and I'm playing a game or something like that. But don't worry, if you do follow me on the other platforms and you see my live streaming, I might be playing a game or something like that, but I am talking to the community. We do talk about crypto. We talk about all sorts of things. The conversation is pretty wild sometimes. So, tune in. Those links will be in the description below. DLive and Twitch, both live streaming platforms. But let's get right into it. Let's get into the first news article, and eventually I'll be moving up into my office, and I think the sound quality will be much better because it's sort of empty right now and everything's reverberating. A lot of sustain in this room here. So Craig Wright says he can't access Satoshi Nakamoto's $10 billion in Bitcoin fortune. He also broke down in tears in the courtroom as well, claiming that when he created Bitcoin, he didn't want it to be used for the Silk Road and everything like that. So I'm not sure what that is all about. I think the majority of people do not believe that Craig Wright is Satoshi, and so I think he was just taking a page out of Satoshi's book because Satoshi Nakamoto did not like the Silk Road and WikiLeaks and things like that. He thought it gave Bitcoin a bad name, and he didn't like that negative press. He was kind of a paranoid guy. So that's sort of public knowledge, and I think maybe Craig Wright just sort of stole that, and he was just sort of breaking down. So during his June 28th contempt hearing, Craig Wright told a federal court in Florida that he was unable to access the $10 billion Bitcoin fortune. Sources present during the deposition revealed that he also cried during cross-examination, explaining why he parted ways with Bitcoin back in 2010. Craig Wright's bitter court battle with the estate of his former partner, Dave Kleiman, is going on for more than a year, and the case study just recently started to show significant movement. And after Wright failed to disclose his Bitcoin holdings on several occasions, a federal court in Florida ordered a hearing on June 28th to whether he should be held in contempt of court, which I haven't seen any news articles post this one saying that he was held in contempt of court. So I suspect he was not. As this is a really weird case, if you think about it, this is sort of the first of its kind with Bitcoin and somebody claiming that somebody had stolen Bitcoin or that there's this dispute. And what do you do when, if you're the court, if somebody says, I can't access those, what do you do? So you can't order somebody to give something that they say they can't access or that nobody else can access. In any other situation, if you had a dispute between a business and you had money in your bank account, you would have to display your bank account, and then they would say, okay, well, you're going to either go to jail or you're going to transfer this money away, or we're going to do it for you or something like that. Whereas Bitcoin, it doesn't work like that. You're going to need the private keys to those original wallets, whether or not Craig Wright is Satoshi, or whether or not Craig Wright happens to have those private keys to those, or he owns them or didn't own them in the first place. Again, you can see how confusing this court case is, because I could barely even talk about it, because nobody knows where that Bitcoin is. You can see it on the blockchain, but that doesn't mean much of anything. The hearing held on Friday was to determine the level of sanction Wright should face for his violation of court orders. However, it was a hot topic of the crypto community, with many discussing the hearing's implications on the Wright and Kleiman case. Again, this is really important too, because if Craig Wright gets a hold of all of these Bitcoin, what is he going to do with them? If he's never been able to access them, and then it's shown that this case is just dismissed, and he does get access to them, what happens to Bitcoin? He clearly doesn't like Bitcoin and prefers Bitcoin SV because he made it. So what would he do with that Bitcoin? Sell it to pump Bitcoin SV? Sell it to put more hash rate into Bitcoin SV? What would happen to the price of Bitcoin if you were to sell $10 billion worth of Bitcoin? Well, quite frankly, it would hurt a lot. Permanently, I don't know. It would distribute a lot of Bitcoin, and it would become very, very cheap. For a long time, the rarity factor of it would go down pretty significantly by a large percentage. 1.1 million Bitcoin out of only about 17 million, high 17 millions at the moment, is quite a good chunk of Bitcoin for sure, and it could seriously damage Bitcoin if it gets into the wrong hands. And what if the Kleiman estate gets a hold of them and they decide to sell it just for the money and say, screw the Bitcoin, we don't need it anymore? Because what would they need it for? Obviously, they're selling to get it. Would they sell it, and would it affect the price of Bitcoin? So either way, this court case is actually extremely important. Inside sources revealed that a heated discussion didn't only happen on Twitter. Emotions ran high during the hearing, too. According to Bloomberg, at one point, Wright forcefully threw a document provided by Kleiman's lawyer and was rebuked by the judge, who said he would be in handcuffs if he did that again. I think I read a little bit more on that a couple days ago, that they were saying, to give over the documents and stuff like that. And he said, he threw the documents and said it's basically impossible. And the judge did not like that one bit. Usually, throw, court documents around. Doesn't look so good. Shortly after being reprimanded for unruly behavior, Wright continued to avoid giving direct answers to questions, seemingly fed up with his long and disconnected speeches. The judge called a recess and urged Wright's lawyers to have a talk with their client about answering questions directly and not giving speeches. The whirlwind emotions during the cross-examination was too much, even for the court reporter, who Bloomberg said asked the parties to slow down. So this is a very heated court discussion, apparently, as a stenographer. Isn't that the word for it? Stenographer? I'm pretty sure. I don't want to sound too stupid here. I usually do on a daily basis, but not today. If they can't keep up with it, yeah. So somebody says, a quick update, open session now. Craig is on the stand talking about the Silk Road and Hydra and crying. Yes, he is crying. So apparently, but the heated argument failed to answer any of the important questions asked by the Kleiman party. Wright reportedly cried during the deposition when he was asked why he left Bitcoin and disassociated from his Satoshi Nakamoto alias, as he claimed the bad things the crypto was used for was too much for him to handle. Oh my God. So, as you can see, the Kleiman case at the moment, Kleiman and Craig Wright case, is basically going nowhere. How do you force somebody to give up $10 billion in Bitcoin that they say that they can't access? And I think, I'm pretty sure he can't. I don't think he does. And if he is telling the truth, apparently it's locked up between many parties. I don't know why they can't all get together and just unlock it. I guess it's contractually obligated not to for so many years. But how do you exactly? So really, confusing court case. But I will keep up on that because I'm extremely excited at the outcome of what's going on here. So. Moving on, eToro adds 5 Ethereum tokens to its cryptocurrency wallet and it plans to add 115 more. So eToro X, the specialized blockchain division of social trading platform eToro, has announced the launch of the first 5 of 120 ERC tokens that will be added to its on-chain wallet. The new tokens include 2 eToro stablecoins, eToro Euro, and eToro US dollar. Awesome. Maker, Basic Attention Token, BAT, and Amici-Go. So they're adding even more. So eToro has actually been around for quite a while. It's a stock exchange, and there's been a lot of them that have been coming up lately. Ameritrade, eToro, and I think there was a couple more. So that's interesting because now I say this a lot, but that's interesting because there's a lot of people that never really ever got into crypto. In fact, I would say, I mean, the vast, vast majority of the world, upwards of 90% plus, maybe even 95% of the world probably doesn't use crypto. Now, it seems really big right now, but I mean, you could just walk down the street, knock on any neighbor's house. Hey, do you own Bitcoin? I'd say 99% of them are going to say no, they do not, and they've never heard of it. I've met more people, on a daily basis in casual conversation that have not heard about cryptocurrency or do not trade cryptocurrency than they do. Oftentimes, my wife is out and about, and she will tell somebody that she hears talking about crypto of what I do, and then they end up subscribing to me. And that's such a rare case that it's like, whoa, like your boss or your supervisor or your friend at work or something like that knows about Bitcoin. They're like crazy, right? They trade it. So when the people that trade on these platforms are traditional stock traders and just trading stock just like Bitcoin on a daily basis. And now I think when they see Bitcoin and all these coins being added, and they can easily just move their money to crypto instead of having to sell out their stock and take that money and put it to their bank account and then put it onto an exchange that they know nothing about, and they know nothing about crypto. They can actually do it from these exchanges now, and that's extremely important. This is huge. So people who would not normally have put their money on a crypto exchange now have that opportunity. And if Bitcoin is up 10% in a day and their stocks aren't doing so good, that's going to catch your attention pretty quick when you see something in the green when everything else is in the red. So I suppose it could work in reverse when Bitcoin is down per 10%. But that volatility is something that might attract a lot of stock traders too, because stocks typically aren't too volatile. When bad news happens, you guys remember the Blizzard bad news when Activision was splitting up from Destiny or whatever, and Diablo Immortal came out. It was instead of Diablo 4 was being announced, it was basically a Diablo mobile game, and everybody booed them. Their stock went from $80 to $40 within, I think, a couple months, if that. So it's still pretty volatile, but there's nothing like crypto volatility. I mean, 10% in a day, 10% down in a day is very good trading opportunities, and I think it's going to attract a lot of people. So they also have a lot of commercials out, too. So eToro has a lot of commercials on TV, and they're pretty constant, too. One is with the Hodor from Game of Thrones actor, and he's holding up the elevator door. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, and he's saying hodl, hodl, hodl instead of Hodor. Real great play on words. And then there's another one that's been on TV lately that I noticed, and it's this one here, and it's basically two people in an elevator, and he gets in, and he's like, hey, there's two cryptos that are about to explode, and she's like, hey, if you don't tell me what they are, I'll show everybody something that's not even remotely embarrassing, that of course he's embarrassed about because it's a commercial, and he says, okay, and then like it ends. So again, the popularity of cryptocurrency is rising very, very quickly. We have stock exchanges moving. We have commercials on TV. We have some institutional investment. We have backed futures fairy tale on the way, which are stars. When we're wishing upon a star, when we're riding on our magic carpet with Jasmine and Aladdin, for some reason we're sitting Indian style in the back of the carpet while they're holding each other while we're flying. You know what I mean? They don't know what I'm doing there, but I'm riding that fairy tale to backed futures. And it might come true one day. And if you don't get that reference, Back Futures is supposed to have come out like 6 times already. So bad joke for some, funny for others. Moving on. Facebook's David Marcus Libra users won't have to trust us. Oh, this is me trying to trust them. It's like when you got really bad stomach pains. Right? And you're driving, and you don't have, you can't get to a toilet for like 30 minutes, right? Because you're driving, there's going to be some traffic. It's going to take like 30 minutes to get home, and you're just like, ooh, Eesh. I think that's the same feeling I get when I read that. Won't have to trust us. Okay, so we won't trust you and like the 10 other corporations that paid $10 million for Libra interest when they run a masternode. Um, ooh, geez, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be real tough. But Mark addressed a number of questions and a few misunderstandings about the project. The social media giant's lead also confirmed he'd be testifying before the State Senate Committee and the House Financial Services Committee, because that makes a difference to us, right? On the project later this month. In Wednesday's post, Marcus sought to address a number of issues that have been raised by lawmakers and informed observers alike, including whether Libra, or Facebook Coin, is actually decentralized. No, it's not at all. It's like MasterCard and Uber paid $10 million to run MasterDoes. No, it's not at all. Like, that's fine, but like, let's not even talk about it. It's over, right? Like, it's over. Like, we don't have to talk about that anymore. Why isn't there a charter in place for the Libra Association, and whether Libra can actually address financial inclusion? Perhaps most notably, he addressed a widespread distrust of Facebook in the wake of Cambridge Analytica. Bottom line, you won't have to trust Facebook to get to get the benefit of Libra. Ooh, ah. I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. I'm sure. So here, regardless of what I say about Facebook Coin is going forward. Period. Libra is going forward. It's going to be used by a lot of people. It's likely going to be, it hurts to admit, somewhat useful in a lot of ways. In fact, it might get a lot of people into cryptocurrency because you could actually buy Libra coin, and you're going to be able to put it on a lot of popular crypto exchanges like Coinbase, and I think maybe Binance is getting into it, but there's going to be a lot of exchanges that will get into holding Libra on it. So that means you can just easily transfer it to Coinbase and then easily swap that for Bitcoin. And that's just going to help a lot of people do that, period. I don't think it'll have a detrimental effect on crypto. So there's that. And the fact that you can have, you can hold a wallet, offline and hold Libra. So at the very least, apparently you'll be able to do that. Now, that's probably subject to change, but apparently at least you can hold it offline. So it works like a cryptocurrency, but oh, Facebook, just stop. Oh, Facebook, just stop. Just don't even talk about trust or anything. Just let it go. Anyway, Facebook published a white paper in supporting documentation for Libra this month, was immediately met with pushback from regulators worldwide. Under various subheadings, Marcus addressed complaints about the project, including concerns that Libra would not be able to bank individuals who are currently under or underbanked, as well as concerns about Facebook's track record on consumer data protection. So he says, while Libra will be controlled by a small number of entities at launch, it will gradually decentralize over time, he said. Facebook, which is one of 28 founding members for the Libra Association, so basically 28 gigantic corporations that paid $10 million each to run a masternode to get interest on this. So yeah, it's just only one of 28 founding members. That is prestigious. The governing association will be responsible for overseeing the Libra network after it launches, which will ultimately have the same power of the network that its launch associates will have. It's easy to assume from the headlines that Libra is only associated with Facebook, but that's not the case. It's not associated with Facebook, even though it's basically Facebook coin and it's a corporate coin. No, don't worry about that. It's corporate coin, not Facebook coin. So there's no question that there are more decentralized blockchains available and that the Libra must strive to gradually decentralize it further. Yeah, but how? What are you talking about? Are they going to make staking available? Because that could be at least a slight way to decentralize it. But at the same time, most people staking are not going to be holding over $10 million of this and gaining interest like these corporations. So you're going to have these like 30 corporations essentially holding $10 million plus of this, while, the average Joe might have 100, 1,000, maybe $10,000, which is just not even going to be close to. So it's going to be skewed. It's going to be like it's going to be like Bitmain hash rate versus like other people. Like you're like, oh, it's decentralized now. Like, well, I mean, not really. I mean, Bitmain just has like millions of ant miners mining away, and you have one of them in your house. So it's barely. Now I'm not saying that Bitcoin isn't decentralized, but in that just short look of it, not at all. So how are they going to make it decentralized? One day we might think about it down the road. Don't worry about it now. Moving on. So Bitcoin prices fall, and this is what 1 day ago. So they have since sort of recovered a little bit since that little wicked dip we had. But again, we're still up quite a bit if you look at the charts, a month or two ago. So not a big deal. And if you're new to crypto, expect it. If you're not new to crypto, you already expect it. So Bitcoin prices may be headed for another dip, but the network is continuing to grow. Miners of the largest blockchain reached a new all-time high, 68,631,992 terahashes per second. So we can see we are at the all-time high now of hash rate. And we since dipped a little bit, actually, right there. But that's usually always the case. It's just up and down, up and down. And so that means it's just more and more people are mining. More and more people are bullish on it. More and more people are making money with Bitcoin and creating more Bitcoin. So hash rate's an important measure of the network security, making it more difficult for the malicious miners to... those malicious actors to double spend, which is basically never going to happen on Bitcoin. And if it does, weird. So, Bitcoin looking good, but we did have that pretty crazy dump. So moving on to CoinMarketCap. So Bitcoin, all-time hash rate, really looking good. Bitcoin, what did we make it to? 13,000. I was actually essentially driving. It was a few days ago, and I actually made it to a hotel where I was staying for a little while, and that's when it was exploding. So as I was driving, it was actually exploding. And so a coin that I was talking about the other day, before I had left and before I had stopped making videos for a little while, was Energy Coin. And at the time, it was like $3.10. And Energy Coin made its way all the way up to like $10. And then I had mentioned that in a video and was talking about it. So hopefully anybody that had actually bought Energy Coin because of my video, hopefully you guys held on to that for more than a few days, because that was exploding while I was driving too. So you know what I should do is really just move across the country like on a daily basis and just have the price pump, because it's like as soon as I got in the truck, I remember I was receiving notifications from friends about how much the price is going up. I remember receiving, the Coinbase notification where it's like, Bitcoin is up 10% or 8%. It was like immediate. I think I'd made it like 4 miles from my house and it was just exploding the whole time. So that's, pretty awesome. I think I had left somewhere around here or something like that. I can't even remember anymore. And it was just exploding the whole time. So our market cap at 325 billion. We did make it to about 13,400 and then since dipped. But that's to be expected. If you're going up that fast, just keep a good look at the charts. Like if you are a trader, if you're not just a long-term, holder, hodler, just because if you see it going up that much and then the price starts, it's going to dip. It's just going to happen. And you can see it's just going to be pretty wacky. But interesting, like we've had like lower highs ever since that dip. So where we're going from here is actually quite uncertain because we're just having these slightly higher dips every time since that $13,400. But Bitcoin dominance is 62%, which is actually really, really high. And that just means that alts are performing pretty bad. And, you can see that with XRP, especially, XRP was stuck at like 30 cents for quite a while, and now it's at 40 cents, sort of stuck there as well. So it really didn't go up particularly proportionally to anything. Litecoin, interestingly, sort of struggling, and I think a lot of people thought, or still think, that $200, $300 by the end of the year, and that's absolutely a possibility. We're only halfway through the year. But it was weird. It was sort of strange that Litecoin made it to about 140 or something like that, and then just sort of lost steam. Even with that Litecoin halvening coming up. But again, I don't think that people really respect the Litecoin halvening nearly as much as the Bitcoin halvening. The hype is just not even close to the same as the Bitcoin halvening. So we'll have to see how that works out. I still think it could be easily $200 by the end of the year, and that we'll have like a recovery here. But again, when things reach their high like that and start to slow down, people start to take that profit, and it just sort of makes sense. Just traders doing what traders investors do. But that's about all I have for you guys today. And sorry for the sound quality. I know I'm just in a dining room. I have an office upstairs that I'll be moving into, but I have to get a new desk. So maybe a few videos right here at first, and then later on they will be in a better location. But make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and like the video, share the video. That actually helps me out the most. If you share the video, so many other people get to see it, and then they share it, and then they share it, and I could loop that about 20 times. But my social media in the description below. Give me a follow on those if you get the opportunity. Again, DLive and Twitch are down below. DLive is a blockchain streaming platform that uses sort of a, I would say it's more of like a website crypto token, for the payment system, and that you can earn while watching and things like that. And Twitch is Twitch. Because I want to keep my live streaming sort of off of YouTube if possible, because it does confuse some people. A lot of people that are into crypto aren't necessarily into gaming, which is actually kind of surprising because gamers have graphics cards and graphics cards play games, and graphics cards also mine cryptocurrency. So interesting conundrum there that I've seen. But anyway, a lot of them are just plain old investors that don't care about mining necessarily. So I'd like to separate that a little bit. So if you do enjoy my live streams, or if you just want to come talk, if you don't care about games at all, that is fine, because that's not really necessarily always the main topic. I have friends on. Sometimes I play with Goose Tech, another YouTuber. I play with other crypto fans and stuff like that. Crypto investors. We talk about crypto, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of things that I say on my live streams that I don't necessarily say on, or have the time to say on my YouTube channel. So it's a nice dynamic conversation rather than me just talking to you. But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.